Hey, what's up everyone? It's me, Robert, and I'm doing another video about me living in Japan. And this one's a little heavy, and it's some stuff that I've been really thinking about over the last few weeks or months. I mean, before that, but anyways, so I've been living in Japan since 2012. It's 2019 now. I've done jobs where I have done sales jobs. I've been doing teaching for a long time now. I originally did sales for a Japanese pedal company, and it was cool. I had a good time with it for a while, but I quit and I got into teaching. And teaching in Japan is a really difficult thing because you have to really come to grips with that. If you want to do it for a long-term career, there's not a lot of growth unless you're at a really high level, like at least have a master's in teaching or something like that, which I don't. I just have a bachelor's degree in Japanese. And so I can speak the language, but that doesn't really get me as far as I want to go. And I'm 37 now. I came to Japan when I was 29. So it's a long time I've been here. And my job currently working for basically a city hall's board of education. It's one of the best jobs you can get in Japan if you don't have a master's degree. And if you do have a master's degree or something higher than that, you might get a job working at a university or something like that. But in Japan, they kind of have this thing called seishain, which means a permanent employee. And becoming a seishain in Japan, where as a foreigner, is really, really difficult. And why I say that is because a lot of places will try to set you up with hours that will make it so you can't become a seishain. And basically that means less than 40 hours a week, so you're basically a part-time employee. And so that means that basically if you're part-time, they have no rules or regulations that make it so that you have to become a seishain. If you were to work full-time in Japan, if you work at the same job for 5 years and continue to work full-time, they have to make you seishain. And what that means is basically you get bonuses, you get raises in your salary, and you get the same kind of treatment as a Japanese person. Now, there are pros and cons to that because, you know, same treatment as a Japanese employee means you're working from like 8:30 to 6:30 at night, maybe even later at some places. But the benefits would be a better salary and more of a secure lifestyle. And so I've come to grips with the fact that if I stay in Iwate where I live, I know a lot of people don't know Iwate, and Iwate is pretty far north up the main island in Honshu. And why I like it here is it's a lot more laid back than I would say like Tokyo or big cities like Osaka. I've never been to Osaka, but basically the lifestyle is a lot more slow, not as stressful as places like Tokyo and stuff like that. And so I've got a huge group of friends here. I met my wife here. I'm married now. I got married in February. And my wife is one of the most dedicated and amazing people that I've ever met. And I'm extremely grateful for that. And her family's amazing as well. And so I have this life set up here now. And I honestly have been like thinking about, you know, if I stay here forever, what can I do? And, you know, there are people who set up their own businesses and like small shops and stuff like that in Japan, like a restaurant or like a club or something like that. Was something I thought about doing and many other things, but, you know, the risk is super high. And if you're living in a foreign country and you basically, your business flops, what do? I mean, you're dead broke in a foreign country. And so it was terrifying thinking about, switching to something where I'm, doing all my business myself. And so I've been thinking about, do I want to go back to California? Because I grew up in California. I lived there for 29 years. And I had a, basically during college, I was working full-time and part-time at Guitar Center, which, is not an amazing job if you're just a salesman, and especially for me because I was going to university at the time, so I was working night shifts and weekends and stuff like that. So the chance for me to move up in the company was slim to none. And so, in terms of like money and stuff like that, it wasn't that great. But I was a college student, so not a lot I could do about that. And so, but now I'm thinking about, if I go back to California, like, what does California have to offer me? Like, why would I go back? And one of the main things that freaks me out about moving back to California is the housing cost. Like right now, my rent is ridiculously cheap. Like I rent an old house that's literally about $300 a month. It seems ridiculous when you put it into like a American perspective, but it's true. And so it's about 10% of my monthly salary. And then I think about going back to California and getting a job, and I mean, I'm not sure what my pay would be depending on what job I get, but what I looked up and thought about was like, what's the average salary in California? And of course, there's lots of people who make tons of money, and some people who are barely making ends meet. And I thought about, if I move back there, like, what's my option? It's a small apartment. And then I thought about like the houses and stuff I could possibly buy here. And it's from an American standpoint, this is gonna sound crazy. I was looking at new houses, brand new, no one's ever lived in it, and I found houses that I found a 3-bedroom, 2-story, near a station for $169,000, and that's definitely doable. I could pay that off. It's definitely possible. Then you look at houses in California, and I'm like, the cheap end of it, you're at like $400,000, $500,000 for a house. And I'm like, I'm 37, and that's going to be taking a huge amount of my salary every month forever, basically, unless I get a better house or a better job. But I don't see myself at the moment just randomly becoming rich, unfortunately. Of course, that would be great, but it just seems quite difficult, to be honest with you. And so I've got myself in this position where, like, I could go back to California and get a job, and there's plenty of opportunities for me to do that. And my wife could come with me. But then, what does my wife do? I mean, you don't really think about it as just if you've never lived in another country, but being an immigrant and getting jobs in another country is not easy. And getting a good job is hard. Very hard. And of course, my wife could astound me and get some amazing job and make a ton of money and everything like that. But I don't want to bank on that. And I have to think about that I'm basically going to be the main breadwinner. I'm going to be supporting my wife in America, which is really scary. Like, what if things don't go well and I'm out there again? But, you can't let self-doubt be the thing that's making all your decisions. You can't let doubt control you. And so I'm at the point where, like, I have to think about mentally what is best for me. Because while I love Japan and I love my friends here and I love where I live, I love my job in some ways. No job is perfect. And I think that I could work for a few more years doing what I'm doing, but not forever. English teaching in Japan, it's very, very basic, like, especially if you're teaching at like an elementary and junior high school level. There's this kind of thing where you want to have satisfaction with what you're doing in work, and I'm not really there, like, because I think I could be doing more complex and things that could help people at a greater level, but I feel like I'm being, I don't want to say the word subjugated, but something similar to that in terms of what I have to do here because of the limitations of being a foreigner living in a really rural community. So, like a month ago, I was thinking about buying a house out here. And it's just these huge waves of positivity and negativity. And it's hard to rationalize your decisions when something so emotional is happening to you. And so I have to make the decision, do I want to stay here? And I could easily get a house, I could easily pay it off, but the possibilities for me long term are really, really narrow. And in Japan, especially in rural areas, the population is decreasing a lot. The economy is definitely going to struggle in the next 10 to 20 years, I think. And then I can think about California. Like, California is one of the largest economies in the world. I have a huge group of friends out there. I grew up in California. And of course it's more expensive to live out there. It's more expensive, but it's kind of the thing you have to think, it's like pay to play. Like, the risk is there, however, the payback could be much larger in terms of my salary and what I could do long term. And it's not 100% up to me. I could work for another company. And I know there's some people out there who could think, start your own company, do stuff like that. But it's not everyone can do that. Not everyone can start their own company and make it happen for them. And the amount of risk that comes along with that is just huge. Starting your own company, especially in a foreign country. So I'm in the position where I'm thinking about moving back to California, and it's becoming much more of as time goes by, I'm 37. I can't keep doing a job that was designed for recent college graduates and has little to no path from here. So I don't want to keep rambling, but that's basically what's going on in my life. I know I haven't really done a lot of vlogs lately about me just talking. I probably look a lot different than I did a few years ago. But yeah. I'd really appreciate comments if you have any ideas about this, or what are your opinions about this. I know that, it's a hard thing to comment on because it's a really big decision for anyone to move to another country. But if you have any ideas or just want to share your feelings or opinions, I wouldn't mind reading them at all. So thanks for tuning in. You guys have a great day. Take care.